Well, we're going live to Berlin, where the United Nations Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon and German Chancellor Angela Merkel are speaking on Europe's response to the refugee crisis. Let's take a listen.
Ever since, and also the refugee crisis and the issue of migration has developed. But there have been two events that we can claim rightly to have been successful over the course of the last few years, one of which is the adoption of the Development Agenda 2030, the successor to the Sustainable Development Goals, and secondly, the successful conclusion of the climate conference in Paris last year. Both these events have illustrated the fact that if we prepare ourselves well, if all the partners join in, even though there may have been setbacks, the world community, the international community is able to assume responsibility, and that has been possible is something that we owe very much to your efforts, and I'd like to thank you for that. Today, we all know that the agenda of a Secretary General of the United Nations is a very complex one. We haven't been able to go through each and every subject, otherwise we would have had to spend more than just one luncheon on this, but we focused on a few issues, the issue of the refugees being a central issue, an issue of central importance, and the Secretary General used the opportunity to brief me about the preparation of the UN World Humanitarian Summit, which will take place later this year in Istanbul, and also the preparations underway for the summit in September this year on the issue of refugees. Both these meetings are going to be important conferences indeed. We also talked about the development of the World Health System. Germany engages here not only as the presidency of the G7, but will also bear responsibility next year as the G20 presidency. We talked about the situation as regards the refugees, and of course we also talked about the situation in Syria, but also above and beyond in the countries of Africa, where we are facing major problems indeed. And then we also talked about some of the crises we are challenged with, the peace process in Syria, the formation of a unity government in Libya, and many other problems that have to be tackled. We are happy to be able to say that for 20 years now, Bonn has been a center of the United Nations for the United Nations, and the Secretary General will continue from here to Bonn to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the UN Center Bonn, together with the German Foreign Minister. We take great pride in Bonn being granted that honor of being the UN campus there, and we intend to focus on that and developing further that campus. As today happens to be the International Women's Day, I'd like to also point out to the importance of the fact that gender parity is another subject to which you have personally dedicated your efforts, Mr. Secretary General, and I'd like to thank you for that too. So we've had a very comprehensive agenda over our luncheon, and I thank you very much for your visit.
Thank
you very much indeed, Madam Chancellor.
Meine Damen und Herren, guten Tag. Ich freue mich sehr, als Generalsekretär Deutschland wieder besuchen zu können. Madam Chancellor, it's a great honor to visit Germany again, and it's a great honor for me personally and for the United Nations to be bestowed upon this Grand Cross First Class of Order of Merit from the government of Federal Republic of Germany. I regard it as your recognition, not only on me, but the many thousands of UN staff who are working day and night for humanity. And I'm much more committed and much more motivated with this recognition to work for humanity. I thank you very much again. Germany and Chancellor Merkel are among the world's strongest supporters and partners of the United Nations. For me, as a Secretary General, it's been quite fortunate and lucky and happy to have worked with Chancellor Merkel and German government and people. I know that you will continue to serve this great country but this is my last year as a Secretary General. I count on your continuing support for the United Nations in the future. Throughout my tenure as a Secretary General, I have been able to depend on Chancellor Merkel as a champion of UN causes and a source of wisdom and general support. Germany has been a strong advocate for human rights, including women's rights, gender empowerment, and Germany has been a major force for sustainable development, and Germany has been a strong anchor of global security. And for all this, I'm very much grateful for your leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Chancellor Merkel and I had a very good meeting. She has explained all important issues. I thanked her for her leadership on climate change. We discussed the situation in Ukraine, sharing concern about the continued human suffering and the urgent need to implement Minsk agreement. Chancellor Merkel's personal resolve and commitment to bring peace and stability to Ukraine are not only invaluable, but also testimony of her diplomatic skill and perseverance.